The judge ruled last week that Jeffrey Epstein is going to stay behind bars until a verdict is found in that case. The guy who's possibly a billionaire, but at the very least has a ton of cash, the judge figured it is too dangerous. He's too much of a flight risk to let out. At this point, if you're providing, even if you were living under a rock, you would probably know the preeminent pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. You would also know that he had connections all across the world and apparently through all sorts of figures through our political media space, including one Mr. Donald Trump. The story with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump has just hit an odd point, however, and what I find to be outright amazing, if it's true. Was Donald Trump the one that turned in Jeffrey Epstein? And did he do it over a real estate deal? That's what Michael Wolff is saying. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. And this story has taken somewhat of an odd, weird turn. Guys, if you enjoy this content, you find yourself coming back to this channel often, please consider supporting this content through PayPal or Patreon. Not to mention, if you like the video, please like and share. It will be immediately demonetized. YouTube demonetizes these videos willy-nilly at this point, and this one in particular. So Michael Wolff wrote the book Fire and Fury. I didn't read that book, but a lot of people did, and a lot of people were able to get all of these tidbits about how dysfunctional Donald Trump is. Now, there's a tidbit in this, however, that is rearing its head now based on the trial against Jeffrey Epstein and the charges against Jeffrey Epstein. Michael Wolff, before we get to that point, this is Donald Trump. It's known that Donald Trump had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, a friendship. This is Trump talking about
I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein, and you watched people yesterday saying that I threw him out of a club.
What the hell?
I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. It shows you one thing, that I have good taste.
All right, I threw him out of a club. It shows I have good taste. I didn't have anything to do with him. And Acosta, who let him off the hook the first time around, was standing right there beside one Donald Trump. Now, what Michael Wolff says is more interesting, because what Michael Wolff is saying that Donald Trump and Epstein had a relationship. That's true, they did. And he goes further and says Donald Trump was in financial trouble at that point. He was in financial ruin. And Epstein, being friends with Trump and knowing Trump was in financial ruin, shows Trump a property that he was thinking about buying in Florida. Do I have the image up? Yeah, this property. Epstein was going to be able to get the property for a steal, and he was going to be able to sell it for a ton of money and make a ton of cash off of it. Believing that Donald Trump wasn't going to be able to pull up the money or anything else, he considered Trump a non-threat in this factor and was getting Trump's advice on how to move a pool, essentially property work. Trump goes to Deutsche Bank, bids $5 million more than Epstein, and sweeps the property from under him. Epstein is apoplectic. He's pissed off. And Epstein threatens to ruin Trump, essentially threatens to tell people that Trump is a fraud at a financial, essentially, that doesn't have the money he says he has. Trump sells this property for a ton of cash. He makes millions and millions and millions of dollars off of it. Epstein, after telling Trump he was going to ruin him, gets investigated for pedophilia. Wolff is essentially arguing that Trump was the one to turn Epstein in to get that investigation started on Epstein in response to Epstein threatening to ruin one Donald Trump. Now, Trump supporters are putting this out like, yes, the mighty Trump is the one who turned in Epstein for pedophilia. But understand what this means. If Michael Wolff is right, this is not a positive for Trump. I would not be sharing this as a positive for Trump. Because what this means, if this is true, is that Trump knew that Epstein was a pedophile. And Trump didn't say anything about it until a real estate deal came up where Epstein threatened Trump. Trump sat on that information, not caring, not bothering to let the cops know that this guy was a pedophile until Trump himself was threatened. That's what that would mean. Meaning, if you're showing this like, oh, the mighty Trump gets Epstein, that also means that the mighty Trump sat on the fact that Epstein was a pedophile. Be careful what you share in this thing of rah-rah, the mighty Trump. This is utterly gross. My argument has been that Trump knew. Trump put out early on saying Epstein loves beautiful women, but they happen to be young. Young women, but beautiful women. Maybe children, Trump? Is it possible that you knew and just didn't say? And what I believe Trump, who cares about loyalty, might have said, that's that guy's business. I'm not getting involved. Yes, I do believe that. Him saying, I got good taste. I kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. After. The kicking him out of Mar-a-Lago came years after this incident. Came years after that. Let's go to the specifics of the story. Michael Wolff had a lot of problems in Fire and Fury, and there were many of the things in that book that were just wrong or just, not saying that Wolff was lying, just saying there's a lot of things in that book that was wrong. Is this one of them? Who knows? There is a record of these two feuding over the property. There's a record of Trump getting this property and selling this property for millions of dollars. It seems that the basics of the event are true. Whether or not Trump was the person to turn Jeffrey in, that's in question. I think Wolff is looking at this and saying, well, at the exact same time that they were arguing over this property and that Epstein was threatening Trump, Epstein gets investigated by the cops. That's Wolff's point. He's saying, is it a coincidence that Epstein just so happens to get popped when Epstein is threatening Trump? Unless Trump comes out and says it was him, I would say this is somewhat of an unknown. The story is interesting, though, so let's talk about the story. But I would not be sharing this as a rah-rah for Trump. Again, I would not be sharing this as a rah-rah for Trump. This is disturbing if it's true. It's disturbing if it's true. Just saying. Epstein was planning to pay $36 million for the property, information he shared with Trump because he was certain a still struggling developer would not be able to come up with the money. Now Trump, he would list the property for $125 million after renovation. Essentially, he was going to make a ton of cash, tens of millions of dollars off of this. Trump bid $41 million using money from Deutsche Bank, usurping the property from Epstein. The property sold for $96 million, more than doubling Trump's initial investment. A furious Epstein, certain that Trump was merely fronting for real owners, threatened to expose the deal, which was getting extensive coverage in Florida. The fight became all the more bitter. Not long after the purchase, Trump put the house on the market for $125 million. Essentially the exact amount that Epstein was going to put the house on the market for. Just as the enmity between the two friends increased over the house purchase, Epstein found himself under investigation by Palm Beach police. And as Epstein legal problems escalated, the house, with only minor improvements, was acquired for $96 million by Dmitry Rabolev, an oligarch who was part of Putin's circle. That's why I was in Michael White's book, by the way. Meaning, that's how, God, things are so weird. The circle that was drawn around this particular story came to light because of a connection to the Russians. But the connections to the Russians ended up having a line to Epstein and Trump in this very specific real estate deal that ended up in Michael Wolff's book. Things are so weird. The sale of the home became problematic for Trump when he found of the Russian meddling in the election. Things are so weird. Things are so weird. Things are so weird. Look, the guy who bought the house never lived in the house. So there's that, but that's a different video. This very specific video has to do with whether or not Donald Trump turned Epstein into the cops because he was pissed off that Epstein was threatening him over a real estate deal. This is not a rah-rah for Trump. Super progressives, things are too weird. Things are too weird. Things are too weird. Rah-rah for rump, says the cat. Yeah, this is not a rah-rah for Trump. I don't care why Jeffrey Epstein is being indicted just as long as he's being indicted. Oh, look. I am not upset with Trump for turning Epstein in. If Trump didn't do that. Good. Good. I'm glad. So, this is not that. It's more so that I saw Trump supporters saying, yeah, the mighty Trump. And I'm like, but you do understand this means that Trump knew in advance and only turned him in when Trump himself was being threatened. That's not a rah-rah for Trump, even though, yes, I'm glad he's been indicted on it. So don't misunderstand me. All right. I'm going to end this. This is just so weird. This is just so weird. So weird. And look, like I said, Wolf's book had some issues with it. Meaning there were facts that were missing, people who were added that weren't really there. So there's weird stuff. But the details of this deal did go down. And this fight did take place. And there's records of the real estate deal and everything else. I mean, you can check it out for yourself. Just another weird case in American politics. Unless Trump comes out and says yes. But I suspect Trump will never come out and say that. Because, again, that would indicate that Trump knew that he was a pedophile and didn't say anything. Or at the very least, that suspicion would be out there. I mean, because we would have to believe that when Epstein was angry at Trump, that it was towards the end of the relationship between those two people that just at that very specific moment, Trump saw him with a young girl. And he's like, oh, I'm going to get his ass. What's more likely? They were friends for a while. He saw Epstein. He said, I'm going to mind my own business. We're in the same class. I'll leave it. I'll let it walk. And then at this very specific moment, how dare that rat bastard threaten me? I'll get his ass. Boom. Here we are, a case. Not mad that he called. Not mad that he called. Not that. Not that. More so this video is. This is not a rah-rah for Trump. It would indicate that Trump knew and didn't say. And only said when he was threatened. That's gross. That's gross. Do not use this as the mighty Trump. It does not fit under that category. Thanks all. Like, share. You can always support through PayPal and Patreon. Thanks all.